Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Live, Gamedev, Mission Maker. I don't know what was wrong with the cadence there. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Jared. I'm your humble sidekick this week. With the Gamedev shows, we usually kind of turn over the driving force to one of our developers who takes you through a bit of their process over the next hour. This week, we have, who are you again?
Elliot Maltby.
We have Elliot Maltby, and what do you do?
I make missions. Well, I'm a lead designer now, so not as much missions anymore, but I still make missions.
What he said. We are going to attempt something that every single person told me was probably a bad idea.
Including me.
We are going to attempt to make a mission from scratch using the mission verb, Star Words, DataForge, RoboHesse, all the cool tools that are used, and see if we can't make a mission and even get inside and play it for a little bit within the span of an hour. Can it be done?
I think so. Finally, I'll be able to prove the community wrong because everyone says that I can't make missions. We'll find out.
Right. So at this point in the show, I'm going to turn it over to, who are you again?
Oh my God, Elliot Maltby.
Elliot Maltby. And he's going to take you through a little bit of the rough flow, introduce you to the idea of it. So Elliot, that's your camera right there. Let's go to that camera. So,
Hi.
So sit back a little bit. Frame. There you go. There you go. Good framing. So tell them what we're doing today.
So, today we're going to be going through a mission. So we have a sort of a rough pitch outline for it. So I am going to be making a prototype experience of the mission where we can play it, see how it feels, see how it plays, and then iterate on it, improve it, and then decide if we want to wait for more things to come in to make it even better, or if we think it's a good enough experience to put it out and then improve on it as time passes by. So that's pretty much it.
So walk us through, what's the rough flow? What are we aiming to do?
Okay, right, so the rough flow is we're doing a subdue and recover mission, which is I go to a location, I knock the AI out, and then I have to go and deliver them. That is the very roughest flow of it. It's
Bob's your uncle.
Simple, right? No.
Okay. So is there any more to explain before we jump into the process?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I'm going to try to do. So as people might know, I don't like hand-holding. So there are certain things we do currently in Star Citizen. For example, when you get to the location, we would mark the ship, and then when the AI spawns, we then mark the AI for you to get. Listen, right? It's warm. I've got like a 20-pound light staring at me. So we then mark the AI for you to take out. Now I'm going to try and remove those aspects. So I want to leverage the scanning gameplay. So you actually have to ping, scan, whatever to find the ship. And once it has been detected by your ship, I'll mark it then. And then when you get into the ship, I won't mark the AI directly. I will wait until either they see you or you are within a certain range of them. This is kind of like an imperfect solution because it's either I mark them, so you always know where they are and you beeline straight to their location. I do this, but the perfect solution would be, say, FPS scanning, but we don't have that yet. So it's kind of like playing with the mission, and it's trying to understand what the end goal of the mission is going to be like when we finished it. That's about it.
All right, so let's start the screen share. Every good mission starts with helpful encouragement from
Luke Presley.
Yes. We have Luke, so we're already ahead. Introduce us to our tools. What are we using today?
Cool. Okay, so what the main and biggest tool that a designer uses is RoboHesse. This is a tool that takes all of our perfor streams and loads them all here. So it's very quick for us to click and go through them. So if I was to click this, it shows other perfor streams, and I can just jump between them, and I can click open my tool here, open my tool here, open my tool there. I can do things like I can get a new build. I can have certain files I care about for sync. So for example, like latest subsumption will just pull my subsumption files. OC and levels will just pull the latest object containers and levels, which obviously helps to speed up testing and gameplay. And then there's the things here to boot the game and things like that. This tool was made by our amazing Jake Mule, well, not ours anymore, and me, Ben Dorsey, and Andrew Hesse helped to design it, and it has saved so many hours, not just on MFT's side, it is a lot of the people in the company use it, so. Okay. So I'd use this to boot up my tools, and the tools I need are things like Subsumption, which is our logic-based editor, which I'll full screen in a minute. Star Words, this thing, which is how we build strings for the game. And last but not least, Data Forge. And this is how we build, oh my God, like everything in the game. This is where you build entities, it's where you build missions, it's where you build everything. Pretty much everything that's not a mission.
Now, you skipped over with Star Words. It's been a long time since we've talked about Star Words. When you say strings, this is text strings.
Text strings, lock IDs they're called. So it's text that we put in and we put in the game, but it's in this sort of tool here so people can localize it for other languages. But it's always like linked to one place. It's quite common in the games industry to have this sort of stuff. But this is a really cool interface they've built for us to use it. So. Okay. Cool. All right. So first things first. So I've talked about the rough flow. So I need to think of a story. Now I have been mulling over a story for a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder for my story to go into. And this is going to be called Subdue. I can't spell, by the way. And recover. Boom. And then when it responds already, there we go. Beautiful. My PC is not a good PC, okay? So I've opened up the folder for Subdue and Recover. And in here, I'm going to make a bunch of strings. So I need to make a story. So the story usually consists of three initial strings, which would be the title, the description, and then the from string. I don't need to use the from string because I'm going to use a mission giver that already exists. I'm going to use Ruto. I'm sure many of you know Ruto. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, so the lock ID is how we link it. So the English text is the text, and the lock ID is how we sort of link it to this. So I'm going to do oh my God, subdue and recover underscore title. And what I'm going to do to save myself time is I'm going to copy that so I don't have to retype it. New description. So the title is going to be, which I've already thought of the story. This was I planned the story ready for this because I thought it was good. The title is going to be called A Personal Request. And the description, which I'll open into a big window so everyone can see it, is this. Ruto's asking for help. His Jumptown operation has recently come under attack, and we've been struggling to get the maze to where he needs it to be. A certain pirate, arguably the worst, has been causing havoc and stopping his operatives from extracting it for Ruto. He wants you to hunt and bring them back to him alive. He wants to punish them and recoup his losses emotionally. And let's see if they can still say all good ships have a name after he's finished with them. So you're going to go to the location, you're going to bring back Void Dude and bring him back alive. And if you complete this, Ruto will expose his other hit list for you to bring in people like Detox, Old Man Johnny Morgan, Blasphemous, and Xperia. So they're all going to be hunted next up. So there's the story string. Sorry, I'm laughing at my own jokes.
Always a good thing.
There's my story string. Now after this, I have to create a bunch of other strings to do with the actual mission. So this is going to be a bit of typing, actually I can just take it from my document where I planned some of this. So we've got the title, we've got the description. So we're going to go through little bits of it. So I'm going to go through. So we have, in missions, you have like a long objective, a short objective, you have a HUD, and you have a marker. all have separate strings because we might want to adapt them in different ways to display different things for the player. So what I've done here is I've put, so I've done the subdue and deliver, and I'm doing the locate part of it. So this is before you've found them, this is finding them. This is the HUD section. Now, so what this is on the top of the player screen, it will say locate. And right now on the screen, you'll see a wiggly line and it says mission and brackets target name. It looks very weird. But what this is that is a token. And what a token is that allows us to dynamically pull in data from the live game. So this is how we're able to do things like generate a name randomly as we go along and have it fill in. So this would read locate Void Dude, or it could say locate Burks, or it could say locate Gabs. It could say locate Jared. Like it could pull whatever from our random system. So I'm filling these out. These are the long and short. So the long is what you see in your mobiGlas when you pull up your arm. The short is what appears when we flash those notifications up to you. Cool. This one that I'm doing here is an objective setup. Now this one is specifically for how I build the mission, because if I'm thinking about the mission in a theory kind of way, and this is how, when we build missions, we think like this for other designers' sakes. So I go, okay, well the missions are subdue and deliver. So what is it? I've got to go there, we've got to enter the location, the AI's got to be spawned. Once I've knocked them out, I take them to a location. Oh, that's the delivery module. That's the delivery modular system. So this is a part of the delivery modular system that allows me to take the target's name and inject it onto the target. So this will basically say, when you've knocked Void Dude out, it will say deliver Void Dude to wherever. Cool. Next up, we have the, the way that I'm thinking about doing this is I want to show something cool and new that you guys might not have seen. There's a designer on our team called Nick Urko, who has been working on having ships like the 890 Jump, but all have AI on. So we could do things, missions in the future where you just have to go and eliminate a certain person on a ship, or you've got to go into the ship for some reason and we want combat in there. So I'm going to be using that. So I want to name the ship. So I'm going to name the ship All Good Ships, which is just because that's what Void Dude says. Next up, I need to make a few more strings, so I'm just going to spam that button a little bit. Locate and subdue. Right, so then these are the next part. So this is the subdue part of the mission. So this is the player has to, this is the general part of the mission, sorry. This is like the header objective that's going to be go there and take them out. Again, it uses the tokens. So we're going to just drag and drop some of the other ones in there. Some of this I probably won't be, I feel like I should never had dead air, but some of it's going to be because I'm literally, when I'm building this, I'm just sat at my desk with my headphones on quietly. Very quietly. Cool. Okay, I've already got the time. Nice. So I think that might be all the strings I was requiring. So I'm going to carry on filling these out. So this is, again, just expanding the story. This is locate and subdue. Come on, Elliot. That's meant to be locate and subdue. I can't spell. All right, English. The target name and deliver their body to the mission destination. That's going to dynamically pull in where we send the player. And we've got the marker. So that is, again, that's the marker that will be on, I don't know, wherever I choose to use it. It could be on the ship. It could be on the AI once you found it. Yeah. And then, so that's the mode marker, the target marker. So this one is definitely going to be on the AI because I've called it target marker. And then target ship. Last of all, that is the marker, I believe, on the ship that I need. Yeah, I don't want that empty string. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much all the string setup. The last thing I need to do is make sure that I can see the strings. We have these labels to where we can say where you can see them. So I'm going to set them to PU, and I'd save that. And that's my strings done and ready to go. So I'm gonna get rid of that now.
And what does the string get you?
It gets us, when we're building the mission, it allows us to see a flow of objectives and see if we're giving enough information. If we're not giving enough information, It lets us check that the sort of the dynamic information that we pass into these strings actually works. A few things like that. Yeah.
Basically all the text that's going to show up on screen for people.
Pretty
Whether it's in mobiGlas or their visor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just hydrating 1 second. Okay. Next up, I am going to build the missions. Well, not the missions, the modules. So these are pieces of logic that will tie together to make the mission. Now, because we try to think modularly, I have to think about how I'm going to do this. So because I want to show you the ship thing, an occupied ship, we don't have anything to spawn them yet. So I'm going to build one. So I'm going to build it, but it's going to be a module. I'm putting it in the module folder, and that's because it has other use outside of the mission. It isn't a mission on its own. It is purely a piece of logic that fulfills a function for us. So I'm going to call it occupied ship spawner. So then what happens here is I can go from
Hold on. Paul Lee Callan says, can Jared look any more unprofessional? Is that a challenge? I can try. Keep going.
Right, pre-init, okay. Okay, so when you've made a mission, you are given an init and an uninit. An init is the initialization of the module, and the uninit is the uninitialization of the module. That's basically, I've started, I've shut down, yes. But we need to inject one more onto here, so I'm going to make a pre-init. A pre-init is the pre-initialization stage. This is where, for example, I would, when SOCS came in, server-side object container streaming, it meant that nothing in the world existed, which changed how we built logic, because previously everything was streamed in. So we used to know where everything was. So you could be on the complete opposite end of the thing to a pencil, and I knew the pencil was there. Now I don't know anything exists. So I have to tell you to go there so I know it exists. But that means I have to tell my module not to just start up, because without a pre-init, it will just boot up as soon as you accept it, and I don't want that. I want it to boot up when certain conditions are fulfilled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a input variable. So this is going to be passed into the module by myself or a designer, and the input is going to be of type mission dataset entry. This represents our sorry, I'm thinking while I'm typing. There we go. This represents like our locations in the world. That's the sort of data form we have. So I'm going to throw on set module location. So this node allows us to tell the pre-init not to fire until the mission location that I pass in has told it it's loaded. So the mission location has it's assigned to an object container. So when that object container is going to have loaded, this will then go, hey, it's all ready for you, and I can move forward with it.
It's not going to tell you to go someplace that doesn't exist yet.
Exactly. So what I'm next going to do is I'm going to get that mission locations object container, and I'm going to make so the difference between these two panels, this is, I use the word global, but they like restrict the scope in which you can see variables. So this one is the global. So all these variables here for everything in this column, these variables can be accessed by any of these like scopes here, whereas this is restricted only to the pre-init. These are my local variables. So I use these because I will clog up my global variables. If I didn't, I don't want them there. It's more efficient for me to make these ones that kind of just get like yeeted once the whole thing's turned off, or has stopped running in this case. So I'm going to make a local reference to the location object container, and then I'm gonna get the object's position, because what I'm going to have the designer do is I'm going to have the designer pass me in the ship that they want to spawn occupied. Ooh, pardon me. And then I'm going to spawn it. So I need to know the position, so I can sort of anchor that as the route of where I'm going to spawn the AI in this sort of area. So I need to find a local position. So it's going to be location, pause, underscore L. Cool. Underscore L is only so like if I'm here and not looking here, I can tell where the variable's scope is set, so I can like quickly know if it's used outside of here or not. request spawns around position. So when I open this is our quick task selector. We also have all of this you can go through and select, but I just happen to know the names of the nodes because I use them on a daily basis. Right, okay, so next up, I need to make the data that the designer is going to pass to me, or I'm going to pass to me. Future Elliot's going to pass, but also designers when they use this. Of type spawn description. The spawn description is, imagine it like a recipe book. It's a recipe book before you bake the cake and put it in the oven. It's like all the information that it's going to use to build the cake. That's terrible. I'm sorry.
You're doing so good.
I know. Listen, you know what? It's weird as well because I'm a lead, so I have to train people. So you guys, this is what my team get and have to build missions with. So cool. So occupied ships to spawn. So this is going to be that cookbook that I'm given. I'm going to keep saying it. You can all deal with it. And I'm going to. Then we have the sort of next. Sorry. The next inputs are the position, so that's going to be the root point of where we spawn, and then I have a range and a spread. Range is it takes the point and then it sort of makes a circle at a certain range that's safe, and then spawns it. So mid is like 5k, and I think point is like directly on it. And what it does is it starts at that range. So if I specify mid, it will start from 5k out of that circle and start searching for a safe location so it doesn't spawn into collision and players can't get it and blah 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 blah. I'm going to set it to close so it's...
and this way it doesn't always spawn in the exact same spot
Exactly.
every single time because that would be incredibly repetitive.
Yes, it allows us to definitely get that sort of element of it feeling somewhat fresh every time you go there, because if you know where everything is, the mission becomes easy. Next up, I need to make a spawn request variable. So I'm going to call this occupied ship _SR. So a spawn request, or this, so the blue input, these blue things are inputs and the gray thing is an output. So this is going to take this data in, and then it's kind of giving me a receipt, and it's going, we'll contact you about your receipt whenever we've done whatever you've asked us to. Sorry, that's terrible. That's even worse. But it basically allows us to get this information back here, so I can tell sort of if certain things have been fulfilled. So for example, I'm going to make a on ship spawned, and I'm going to also tidy this up because we don't build stuff like that because it looks horrible. Callbacks. I'm going to put it in this folder. Thank you. Cool. And then next up, I'm going to build the, so now the ship spawned. So I'm like, okay, cool, the ship has spawned. That's great. Now I need to actually spawn the AI on it. So what I'm going to do is I want to check to see if this is the initial spawn of the ship, which is this thing. And then if it is the initial spawn of the ship, I want to do a lot of setup. I don't want to do it every time because we get this callback whenever the ship's streamed back in. So if you go away from it, the ship streams out. When you come back, we need to retell the, say it's like a bounty. Say you've got your target AI and he's got a bunch of mates. We have to retell his mates to defend their mate or else they forget. So that's what we have this callback for. It's very useful for that sort of stuff. Next up, I'm going to send an event to a mission instance, and the mission instance is going to be the parent, if I can find it, the parent mission. This is basically because I know this module is going to be called by another module. It means that I need to communicate back to that module to tell it when I've done things. So for example, I'm going to jump and get this modular event. So we build a bunch of events that if we identify that we're sending a lot of events and they're always in the same sort of format, we'll just use a modular event. It's the same as a modular mission, it's just for a modular event. And I'm going to pass in the spawn ship. So the spawn ship, these are things returned to me. So when that callback is fired, so hey, the ship spawned, it will return to me these variables filled in. So it will give me identifier tags. These are tags are placed on the ship so I can identify what it is. The initial spawn boolean, discussed that. The pilot of this ship and the ship itself that has been spawned. So next I'm going to make sure that I send back that information because future Elliot might need it, and also the designer might need it. Cool. Next up, I need to find objects in the ship. So the ship spawned, and now I need to spawn AI on the ship. So that means that I need to search the ship for a spawn closet manager. This is so we do a lot of searching via tags because it's very efficient and it's not expensive to search. So I'm going to make a tag search here for the spawn closet. Spawn, come on.
Spawn closets, of course, being where NPC ships or fighters or whatnot pop into the universe behind a curtain where they can't be seen usually.
Yeah, and this one specifically is for. So the ship is going to have AI on it. So this one's going to grab the ones that are on the ship directly and then tell them to spawn. So the spawn closet system, even though it's called spawn closet, we don't have to use it like a closet with a door. We can also use it for what we call initial spawns, which is when the location is first loaded in and the player isn't there, we can populate them out and about. Because like if you get to a location and you was to beat the streaming and you just see them all walking out of doors, you're going to be like, well, hold on. So you've just come out because I'm here. So it makes them feel more alive if we can have them already out and trying to find their usables. And
sometimes the curtain is just getting them there before the player is.
yeah, exactly. Next up, I'm going to return the found objects, which is going to be the ship's spawn closet managers. Oh my God, how much time do I have left?
You're doing good, sweetie.
I mean,
are you winning, son?
no, I'm like barely through the first half. You're gonna have to make this a 2-part, Jared. Cool, I'm trying to be fast now. Next up is the loop until. This is basically because there's gonna be more than one spawn closet in here. I need to go through each of the spawn closet managers and make sure that I send the request to them. So another variable that I need to create for our designers is an input variable, again of type spawn descriptions, called NPCs to populate ships.
Sometimes you just call it what it is. You know, there's this.
When I was in school, they taught me two of the hardest things in computer science is cache invalidation and naming conventions. And naming conventions.
Naming conventions is the number one.
Yeah.
It's the number one.
Current spawn.
Yeah, we'll do part 2 next week. I haven't asked Elliot, but I'll volunteer him for it.
There we go.
Don't worry about it. We'll do it next. We'll finish it up next week. We've never done a 2-part SEO. It's a good one.
Yes. Spawn description. Yeah. So then I'm going to take the current spawn description that I've popped. So popping is like a Pez dispenser. I've pulled it out of the Pez machine and I'm going to use it. I'm going to eat it now.
So what popping's like? Just like a Pez dispenser?
Yeah, it's Pez dispenser. That's how I describe it.
Have a lot of popping Pez dispensers when you were a kid?
Yeah, did you not?
Popping?
Yeah, because you pull the thing down, it pops out. Did it not pop out? No? Was it not meant to pop out?
So it pushes out. You have like some automatic fire Pez dispensers when you're a kid?
Well, what do they say? Tomato? I don't know what you guys call it. I'm English, I'm British, right? So it's tomato. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna take the ship spawn closet manager that we have here, and I am going to then take the current spawn description that I've taken out, and then I'm going to make another local variable because I'm going to make multiple spawn requests here. Spawn request underscore L. Yeah. So I'm going to make multiple spawn requests. So what I need to do is merge them all into one, because they can only, the information can, like this node will overwrite every time that input. So I have to make it local, so then I can make them all call back on one, so I don't have to make like 1,000 callbacks. Spawn request. This one is going to be called something like NPCs occupying ship. Let's go SR. Yeah, cool. So that's the spawn request for the NPCs. let me check all this is right. So I pop them. Yep. I then take the managers, and then I pass it in. Cool. Right. Nice. So this will spawn it. So next up, I need to make sure that I know when the NPCs are here. So I'm gonna right click and get another callback, and it's gonna be on the spawn closet spawn, which is this. And essentially all this one's gonna do is send event to mission instance, like that. And it's going to send the modular request again of AI spawned, because this time it's spawning an actual NPC, like, yeah. So I'm going to send that straight back to the thing. Then from there, that's the ship, the occupied ship spawner, I believe, done. So that should spawn a ship and spawn all of the AI on it for me. So the next thing I need to do is now actually build the mission. I've not been building the mission for the past 30 minutes. You stop it.
No, it's there's a thing. People often wonder. You continue to worry about that. There's a thing. People often wonder why we do a show on this or do a show on that. And the number one criteria that I have personally, being in year 9 as I am here, is I ask myself, would anyone else do this? Would BioWare do this as a piece of promotional material? Would Activision or anyone else? And if the answer is no, I'm instantly intrigued by it. Which is one of the things I love about, one of the many things I love about Star Citizen.
I think one of when I see them ever make one, they have a highly polished GUI for their tools, and they all work flawlessly, and it's like, we build our tools for what we need now. They don't have to look pretty. They just have to kind of work.
They don't actually look like the thing that they're showing either. It's always a manufactured thing.
Yeah.
What I liked about this idea of having you do this is to show. We've been talking about the mission manager and the verbs and all this stuff for years now, and I wanted to show that you haven't done any. You're not programming here. The work to this point has been about building a system, building a modular system that runs through FlowGraph, that runs through all these neat tools like RoboHesse and everything, to automate a lot of the programming work, so that then we can democratize the process of mission creation to dozens and dozens of other developers. So designers, who are typically not programmers, can come in and just focus on being creative. Once they get the handle, the understanding of a select few verbs, they understand the syntax necessary. This goes into this. This goes into this. There's a learning curve. I'm not going to sit here and say there's not a learning curve. We're demonstrating the learning curve here. But this is how we scale.
Yeah.
This is how we go from, well, if it took you 4 years to make X number of missions, how are you going to populate, another star system with all these missions?
Yeah.
How are you going to populate, 10 star systems with all these missions? This is how we do it. The game development is exponential. It's a lot of the early years is in, building this framework, this groundwork, this foundation. Any more synonyms I can think of, this thing under the thing, where it allows you to then iterate faster and more efficiently as you go forward. And that's one of the reasons we've been telling the story of the mission manager and everything over, and the subsumption over this last year, because it having been here for as long as I have, it's exciting. I'm starting to feel like we're there. I'm starting to feel like we're at that point now where development can begin to scale up, and we can start making things faster than we have at any period in the past. Barring things like, long-term persistence and everything, pulling that foundation out from under us and having to start over. But so I've been talking through this. We haven't explained this whole part. What are we looking at right here?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't concern them.
Doesn't concern them.
No, I am.
We're not talking about spaceships, Gehenny.
What's a spaceship?
I don't know.
Never heard of it. I've gone in. I've started building this.
You didn't actually drink out of your water. I just opened the lid. This is my water.
Yeah. So I've started building the main mission. So what I've done here is, once again, I've created a pre-init, because the pre-init will stop this from properly running until the player gets to the location, because there's certain things that I need to find when you get there. So making sure that making sure that that none of this loads is pretty vital to the mission actually working. What I'm doing here is, again, that's just set that up. This is the module I just made. This is the occupied ship spawner. And I'm passing in the location it needs to care about, the ships I want it to spawn, and the NPCs to populate. And now
So everything you spent the first 20 minutes doing is in that box right there.
Is now in that box. And this is how other designers build modular missions. Is I build a lot of these, and then they just do that and plug everything in, and then my stuff just does a lot of heavy lifting for them, so they don't have to worry about it. So subdue, I can't spell subdue. You know what?
I know. You're the one who chose to call it subdue.
Yeah, I know, but it's. Like I say, it makes sense to be called that. It doesn't mean I can spell it. Subdue target. Okay, cool. So this is going to create an objective that the player can see. Then I'm going to actually mark something so the player knows where to go. And I'm going to use the location OC I put here, so it's actually just on the location. So what I'm doing is I'm going onto my Star Words tool, and I'm grabbing the strings that you didn't do any of this, this is me, that I've made, that I've made here, there we go. And I'm putting in, so so then we have some sort of extra options on some of these like nodes, so I'm gonna display the distance for you to make sure you know just how far you're going and it's not just a marker out in space. Yep, so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do a set objective oh my god, type display I can't spell.
What do you mean? Jared has been coding this whole time? I'm checking his work.
It's called the buddy system. Or the rubber duck. There's this thing in programming where if you can't figure your logic out, you talk to a rubber duck on your desk, and vocalizing out loud will help you solve your problem. So you're my rubber duck.
I call that David.
You know what? Mine's called David as well. You've made me lose my train of thought, David. Objective display. Okay, so next up, so the objective display is a fancy word for saying HUD. So this is what's going to display on your HUD. There you go. And I am going to also make it managed per player. So I don't always want to show the HUD. I might want to control it. Next up, I'm going to create a sub-objective. So a sub-objective is going to parent to the objective I've just made. Boom. And this one's going to be called locate, probably. Objective. Or target ship location. So OBJ. Cool. But this one is going to be hidden from you because I don't want you to see it until you get to the location. And I'm going to take the long string that we built. Stop. They didn't do anything, Elliot. I did. Short. So locate short and long. And then I need to make another mission objective display, but I'm lazy, so I'm not going to retype the node in. I'm just going to take this one from above. And I'm going to get the HUD for locate. And do that with it. However, this one, I need to not respect its inherited visibility. What that means is that, because this is parented to this, and this is not hidden, but this one is, this display would likely not show unless both of these were visible. So I'm going to tell it not to respect its parents and just go off the rails and do what I tell it to. Cool. Next up, objective display for players. Cool. Next up, I'm going to show the objective display for one of these for the players because I want them to see this one. So this is going to be the target ship location because again, I'm managing it per player, but I'm also telling it not to respect. By default, it's going to be off. So I need to tell it to be on for all mission players. And we have things called magic variables. And that just means that I type them in, and as long as I spell it right, code links it up, which I spelled it wrong instantly. It's mission players.
How many bugs do you think are attributed just to typos?
When it's me, quite a few. I do it all the time. I'm really bad at it. But we try to when we identify there's somewhere that you can type stuff in, we try to fix it because we know it's not a good way of like handling this sort of stuff. Cool, right. Nice. So that's the first part. Sorry, that's the first part.
That's the second first part.
That's the second first part. Next up, I need to get a reference to the action area where I'm going to spawn them. So I'm going to do well, first I need to filter the action area. Set action area filter. Pull. This node, set action area filter, exists for a reason, and it's because an action area is a volume in anywhere that will detect when things have overlapped with it. And the issue that we used to have, and again, this is us like, hey, there's a problem here, and then sort of fixing it. The issue we used to have is that we could detect everything. When I was building Siege of Horizon, I used to crash because my action area detected a sprig of mint that was on the bartender's drink, enter my action area. So this filter thing, I requested quite heavily, and we got it so that I can make sure that mint doesn't enter my action area and break my game. So I'm going to filter for anything that's human controlled, which means that I control it, you control it, if you who is watching is a human.
Get some F's in chat for sprig of mint.
Mission area. So now I need to get the mission location action area. So I filtered it, so I have to filter it before I get it, or else the filter doesn't apply. So I filtered it, and now I've got it, so it's gonna get it with, now I've got all the fucking errors I shouldn't have. No. Yeah, so that will now filter down my action area, which now means I get to make, how much? 40, I've got 20 minutes left, my God.
Don't worry about it, we'll come back next week if we have to.
Yeah. So now I need to...
The wonderful thing about SCL is that it never ends. There's always another Friday. There's always another Friday I have to fill, Elliot.
I have to make missions. Which one of us is in the worst boat? Your videos work, they go out. Self-burn, those are rare.
I want to say something so badly.
Okay. Right, so I'm making the action area callbacks for on entered and on exit for, again, human controlled things, which is good, but I still need to do a form of filtering. So on exit, I'm going to tell the player to come back to the area. However, I don't want to tell them to come back if the target's already been found, because if the target's found, they might as well just always have that marker because they're always going to know that information. So I need to make a entity tracker, which I will use a valid callback to know if the target's in here. So this is going to be called target ET. Cool. Is entity tracker empty? So this is me checking to see if the target has been put in this variable. And then I'm going to check to see if the person who's come in here is a mission player. So if it is empty and the exited person, the person who's left, then I'm going to add them back to an objective marker. So I'm going to add them back, the exited entity, to the subdue target marker. So that will be the marker that's like in the search area. Whew. Then when they come back in the area, actually, so I don't have to retype, I'm just going to copy these two nodes. So when they come back in the area, I'm going to make sure that the target once again is valid, and then I'm going to do a bunch cleanup. So remove objective marker. Remove object. Where's my node? I bet it's remove player from. Yeah, it is. Cool. So this is gonna remove because they might have. I mean, even if they've exited and come back, I always need to make sure that this doesn't exist on them, this marker. So I'm gonna remove it. I'm also then gonna show objective display for players. This is gonna turn HUD on. So I'm gonna put the subdue one on for the entered entity. So the person, no, I'm going to turn this one off because this is the one that's already on their screen. Yes, 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 yes.
G. Kenny says, Jared, can you do an ISC about issue council? We did. It was super popular. Everybody was really happy with it. And the comments were really Positive.
Right, carrying on. I'm also gonna show that hidden objective, the one that's the locate, because you're in the area now, so you need to find them. Again, this is only if the target hasn't already been found, which is what that'll track. So I am gonna check the target ship location and do that for the entered entity. True, is there, both on, that's all, cool. So this is gonna, player enters it, the marker to go there goes away, the HUD that was there goes away, and it comes up with locate, and then it will show the objective in the mobile glass as well. So you'll see like locate void dude, and then kill him. Next up is an event. So this event is one that's going to be that I've sent. So if you remember, I talked about those modular events in my other module. I'm going to register here and listen for it, because you have to listen to them, or else they kind of just get sent into the void and you never hear them. Oh my, where have I put the modular? They're all over. Modular events. Where's mission modules? Mission modules, modular missions. My God, my naming thing is horrible. Modular events, AI spawned.
Naming conventions. They have undone so many aspects of many games over the years. Like, I would wager that many, I don't know if most, but a not insignificant number of AAA games have had naming convention revamps during the course of their development. Just this, okay, we got to fix this. Like, we were naming it. It worked when the game was this big, and now the game's this big, and we've got to completely redo the structure. And then some technical director leaves, and somebody else comes in and goes, "Oh, well, this naming convention is garbage," and they have to go through and they redo it again. Naming conventions are. I have many traumas in my life.
Yeah.
Naming conventions are one of them.
You want to know the worst? I mean, apart from naming convention, the worst thing I've done is not linked a node like that, and then booted the game, and then like waited for it to boot, got in, and then been like, "Fuck, I didn't link my nodes."
Yes.
That's even worse.
Now, I want to stress that the reason that is so bad, like, oh well, that doesn't seem so bad. It's because in its raw state. In the raw state where you're not on the big servers and everything, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to boot a local version of the server and client. So when you have done this part, and then you go to boot your local to see if it's working to the point, and you realize you've wasted that 20 to 30 minutes you were waiting because of a single line missing. That's why that's so tragic.
Yeah. And the worst part is if you pull like your lead coder over because it isn't working, you've not noticed that line. Maybe because you like zoomed all the way out and the lines are like tiny and you're showing another bit of logic. He's like, well, you didn't, what's that over there? And you zoom all the way in, and he's like, ah. And you're like, ah, thanks, Dave.
One little tiny line.
One little, control all.
One mono 1/4-inch audio cable.
Yeah. So next up, I am going to set up the objective marker that's on the ship. However, because of that whole thing where I want it to be scanned for, I'm going to make this objective marker exist, but not truly exist. Because I give it a null item, it means that you won't see it in game until I tell it to show, and I'm going to tell it to show after you found it. So this is. Again, going back to the modules we build, I'm going to place another one down here that is called Find Object by Radar, another one we've built, which basically you pass in the ship that you care about, so the AI spawned, you pass in the objective that has the marker on it because it will turn it on for you, and I leave this to true. So what this will do is it will detect everywhere you can find a ship via a radar. Now, everywhere you can find a ship via a radar is passive scan, which is it just pops up on your little radar on your ship. There's something called blob, and then there's actual scanning. Cool. So, show objective display. So then, okay, cool, right, nice. So next thing I'm doing here is I am just making sure that the objective is definitely existing for the mission players. In case there's been any way it can sort of get around it, which is that. So what you sort of missed here was I am checking the AI spawned, and I'm checking to see if it has a tag of ship, because then I know that the thing is spawned is a ship. Because if you remember when I built the module, I used the modular AI spawn for both the ship and the NPCs. So that's why I've done that, so I can filter it, because then I know if it's not a ship, then the only other thing it could be is an actual like NPC AI that's on board it. So I'm going to build another separate entity tracker here, which is going to do a like a global sort of collect. So this is going to be all occupiers. So this is going to track all of them, and then I'm going to do something called compare Boolean. And I'm going to check for a Boolean that I'm going to make, which is kind of going into that, like, how do other designers use this? How are they going to pass all this information? I've got 10 minutes left. How are they going to track all this information? Oh, thank you.
Sorry, don't worry about the 10 minutes.
Yeah, how are they going to track all this information? Like, how are they going to pass it in? How are they going to tell me what they want? And this is sort of pre-prepping for what I know in my mind I'm going to give them tool-wise. So I'm going to do a thing where I detect if they've given me a target tag, which means they've said this specific AI, I want to be the target, compared to say grab random. Compare.
It's different when you have to talk through the entire thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot quicker when I don't have to tell anyone what I'm doing. But this is fun, right? We're all having fun.
No, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. This is exactly what I had hoped this stream would be. Elliot, you're doing a good job.
Hey. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm checking that thing that I give the designer the power to. So I check to see if an identifier tag, which is what a designer can set, has the tag of target. So then I know that they've specifically given me a target, which is this stuff. So what's going to happen is every AI that spawns is going to pass through here, and it's going to constantly go through. And if this has been set to true, it's going to check every single one of them. Is this got the identifier tag of target? And then if it has, that's where I can, sorry, 1 second. That's where I can go through and make sure that I pass the correct AI into the mission. So add entities to not proximity tracker to spawn. I've lost my node. You know what? I haven't lost it. It's right there.
Friendship is still the best ship in Star Citizen. Aww. Hear that, John Crew?
Well, it's friendship. You know, I got murdered by Darklaw on live. He just murdered me, and I checked his stream, and he was just sat there like this. Like it was the easiest thing ever, and he killed an entire SIG dev team, and just like then walked away.
Darklaw's pretty good though.
Player or morally?
No, player.
Okay.
Not morally.
Because then we popped in his chat. I was like, you know, you just killed me, and I'm not gonna try a Scottish accent or whatever. But he was like, I didn't know.
Darklaw, you're a jerk, and you can clip that and use it on your stream.
Cool. Next up, right, so I'm going to set an object. So I've added the target, which is the AI spawn, to the target list, and now I'm going to make a variable to also store the target as an object. Target, I'm just going, oh, voila. And then I am likely going to also convert, I think, the target to, no, yeah, I'll do that, yeah, cool. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, we're good.
I'm trying to think through what I'm doing. So, next up, knocked out. So, if, and because it's subdue, it means that I need to track if they've been knocked out, subdued. I'm going to make a callback on the entity tracker.
And that's because right now, the only way to subdue somebody is to knock them out. We don't have the additional bounty hunter stuff, put them in stasis or put handcuffs on them, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, one of the challenges of making missions for a game that's still in active development is, you make them for the tools and features that are available now.
Yes, yeah. It's sometimes it's like you're shoehorning things in, And sometimes most of the time you're always just trying to get that feeling for what it's going to end up like, because you want it to play as close as it can, and then fix up when it comes to later. So add mission. So what I'm doing here is that you've knocked the target out. So Void Dude had a target on him to tell you to go knock him out. So now I need to remove that marker because the delivery marker is going to take over and tell you to go deliver the guy.
Right. You don't want to still have a find Void Dude marker
exactly
sitting there knocked out in your ship.
And then what I'm doing here is I'm adding the mission as the owner of Void Dude, because we have a lot of cleanup things in our game to obviously clean shit out of the world that doesn't need to exist. And when you kill an AI, it does that. And if you was to leave the area, the AI should be cleaned up. But because this is a mission critical item, we don't want Void to be cleaned up. We want him to stay. So next up, again, another module. This is one of the delivery modules that I think was about 20 minutes into that rant I did on the ISC.
Well, 20 minutes into the version they saw.
True.
And the version I had to sit through, it was like 45.
What can I say? I like what I do.
You know, it's despite what's his name, whoever it was, I don't remember now. You know, these shows, the reason I can sit back, the reason I can literally kick back, put my feet up, my VHS shoes and whatnot, is because Elliot is one of those people that I trust implicitly. He's proven himself time and time again. He knows his stuff. Not spelling, but this isn't a spelling bee here. And I don't have to hold his hand. I don't have to guide him through the conversation, through anything else. I can just sit here and I can let him steer the ship, which is nice every once in a while.
There you go.
I can say nice things about people. It happens. I can feel the heat radiating from over there. Just say nice things. Jared didn't say nice things.
So what I've done here, I've just filled in some of the nodes that I need to fill in on the delivery module that I'm going to call. And I'm doing a thing called stop proximity tracker, because I want, when you go to the ship, the issue is, or the issue that I see, which is that whole imperfect situation that exists, is you'll know where they are roughly. So you can kind of guess what floor to go to. And that makes for the experience that I don't want you to have. I don't want you to know and go straight to them, because that's boring. I want it to be somewhat of a challenge for you, because you've got brains, right? You can think for yourself, so find them, use your eyes.
Wait, the views and opinions of Elliot Maltby do not represent those of Platinum Premium Games or what?
I'm just a designer, a games designer. I clicked Control S and I didn't mean to.
Jared just said all the other developers are incompetent. No. I said being able to communicate effectively on a live TV show without your head exploding from anxiety and brain detritus is not a skill that every human being in the world has.
I barely have it.
There was touch and go there for a little while. Towards the beginning, like there's a moment about like 7 minutes in where it happens.
Is that where you held my hand?
Yes.
So now you know how nervous you were, because you felt the sweat.
I felt it. I felt the sweat.
So what I've just done quickly here is I've made a modular, so we have this event called the modular mission objective event. And this is basically, has this module I've built completed its core objective? So in this case, this is going to be the delivery objective, calling back, telling me it's done. So I'm going to check just to make sure the player's completed it. And then after that, I'm going to complete the mission, because you've done your work there. That's it, right? Yeah, complete. Nice, good, easy, real easy one. Next up, we have the ship. So the ship spawned, we have a ship. I've converted it to a ship reference purely so I can get this callback, which is on object entered. This allows me to know when you, the player, has entered the ship. And then from here, I can do that, do the thing where I take all your markers away and like let you use your eyes to go and hunt for them. However, I'll give you that hand of the proximity tracker to sort of guide you through. So place to remove, entered person, nice. And I'm gonna remove you from the target ship location. Set mission, objective display. So now I'm gonna put on an objective display which is telling you to subdue Void Dude. Yep, so I need to find my string for it. Give me 2 seconds, which is this, boom. So this is gonna say like locate and subdue target name, which would then dynamically resolve to Void Dude.
Don't take my scented markers away. When I was in grade school, we had a pencil machine. You put a quarter in, you turn it, and it'd give you 2 pencils, and the pencils smelled. And they smelled like different things, like fruit smells.
You had to pay for pencils?
It was a different time. It's capitalism.
Oh, was this when pencils was just invented? Because you used chalkboards before, right?
I'm a bit old, but not that old.
You won't be seeing me on the
Pencils
next ICL.
No. Yeah, come back and finish this. Yeah, you come back and finish this, then we gotta play it and see how well you did.
Oh God.
But somebody remembers the smelly pencils, right? It's not just me.
Smelly pencils.
Let's see. All right. Well, actually, we're at about 5 o'clock. So, where's a good place to wrap this up?
Literally after I finish this node, done.
All right. So, what did we just do? Where are we at now?
So so when you get to the ship now, I am going to take away the markers. I'm going to put a HUD display that says, please find Void Dude and to subdue him. And then I'm going to start a proximity tracker. The proximity tracker is just how close am I to them. So when you're within 10 meters, I'll mark them. And this can be played with. So like if 10 meters isn't right, I'll up it to 15 and so on and so forth. And then there's a bunch of next steps after this, but we're nearly there.
Yeah. So what we'll do? What are you doing next Friday?
I mean, working. Hopefully from Manchester. I'm off home for a few days, but we'll have to work that out.
All right. So we'll see if we can do next Friday. Whatever. Bring it back and then play the mission because I really like to get in there and see this work.
Yep. Yeah. Same.
All right. Meet you over that camera. Hi everybody. So that's been Star Citizen Live Game Dev Mission Maker. I'm not the mission maker. He's the mission maker. That was Elliot. Good job, man. We've been doing game dev shows for 6 years or so now. We've never actually, it's impossible to make anything for Star Citizen in an hour.
Yeah.
But I think it's always important to demonstrate process, to show, especially the big victory of this system is that it has opened the process of making missions to people other than programmers. There's this perception, there's this mentality that you have to be a programmer in order to make games.
Yeah.
You don't.
No.
Certain aspects of it, sure.
Yes.
But part of the game development is making these tools, making Subsumption, making RoboHesse, making Star Wars, so that just other people who can follow instructions and can learn syntax, understand it can build these things, and that's how we scale up to the big immersive precision universe that we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Before we go, we're gonna raid somebody. We haven't raided anybody in a while. CLX, which is a maker of custom PCs, are actually in the process, if I'm not mistaken, they should be live now, are currently building a PC for Atmo Esports, which is one of the esports organizations in the Star Citizen universe. They're going to be on with our own Jake. Let me check the name. Jake Bradley, who is apparently somebody who works here. He is on that stream. Say hi to Jake.
Hi, Jake.
And take care, everybody. We'll see you here next week. Bye.